started our first operations on the 10th of October. This was only about 3 weeks after the famed Incheon invasion, which was an invasion which turned out to be extremely successful. This enabled us to get around behind the Koreans and greatly diminish the impact they had on attacking the South Koreans and the United Nations forces who were out there at that time. So when we started our flying, the war was going well for us. We were pushing the North Koreans back up north, back towards North Korea. And then just after Thanksgiving of 1950, we got the words that hordes of Chinese had fled down from, or had attacked, coming down from Manchuria and across the Yalu River, separating North Korea from Manchuria. And estimated as many as 200,000 Chinese troops attacking about 15,000 of our troops, Navy and Army and Marine Corps. Well, we went to full gear on flying as much as we possibly could to provide support to our troops who were so vastly outnumbered, and they needed all the help they could get. So it was on the 4th of December, we were assigned a mission up in the vicinity of the Chosin Reservoir, which is where the battle was being fought primarily. And it was what we call an armed reconnaissance mission, where we were assigned a specific area and to strike at all targets of opportunity, anything that seemed to have military significance to the enemy. It was very rugged terrain up in North Korea in that part, the mountainous country. The tops of the mountains were as high as 6,000 feet, which admittedly is not high when you look at mountain ranges around the world, but we were flying at an altitude of about 3,500 feet when Jesse Brown called on the radio that he was losing power and he's going to have to land. And we saw somebody spotted a fairly clear spot which would be within gliding distance of his airplane. So Jesse headed for that. I called on the radio for him to make sure his shoulder harness was locked, that his canopy was locked shut, and that after he hit the ground, make sure he turned off his ignition and battery switches. Well, he did land on sort of a 25-degree upgrade, and when he hit the ground, he hit with such force that the fuselage buckled at the cockpit, and the canopy had slammed shut, so we couldn't see inside the airplane. But because of the intensity of his plane, there's no doubt in the minds of any of us that he perished in that landing. The flight leader left us to get better altitude for radio reception to call for a rescue helicopter. And while he was gone, Jesse had opened the canopy and waved to us to let us know that he was alive. Shortly after that, when we were trying to determine what we could do, the flight leaders assured us that a helicopter would be on the way, but it might be half an hour before we could get there. Well, the smoke coming out from under the cowling of the airplane, which indicated a fire or some source of some incendiary force. And because of that, the likelihood that something drastic would happen, and because the helicopter might be half an hour, I made the decision to make a crash landing close to his so I could just pull him out of the cockpit and wait for the rescue helicopter.